Good morning, CLC.
Good morning.
Thank you for your love. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your being. In this moment and at this time, I invite you to invite the great wave that is the I Am itself into the beyond, beyond. In you, through you, with you. And join me in this inner healing experience. If you feel so inclined, go ahead and take a nice deep cleansing breath in, breathing in love and light. And as you release the breath, release all that no longer serves you. Allow any doubts, stress, tension, fear, or anxiety to just be washed away for now. Go ahead and take another nice deep cleansing breath in. And as you breathe out, allow your body to just relax in this moment. And allow your mind to be here now. Universal love enfolds me. Universal wisdom inspires me. Universal spirit enlightens me. Universal power encircles me. I am one, and all is well. As we begin this inner healing process, let me invite you into quiet confidence, opening yourself up to the miracle-working higher power. Now symbolize the unity of your thinking and feeling nature by touching your chest with your hand, and let my words act as your own, for your own inner healing, acceptance, and receptivity. I acknowledge that there is a power, intelligence, and wisdom greater than my own. I am in the midst of it, and it is in the midst of me, sensitive and responsive to my every thought, word, action, and feeling. I now make this true for myself by saying aloud, I acknowledge. Acknowledging this higher power working through my life, I admit that I am personally responsible for solving my own problems while being guided and assisted by something greater than myself. As I am ready to surrender the conflicts of my ego to the wisdom of this infinite presence, I simply speak these words. I surrender.
I surrender.
Knowing that forgiveness is the key to unconditional love and the feeling of heaven, I now unconditionally forgive anyone and everyone who has ever injured me in any way, real or imagined. And I now forgive myself for all of my mistaken judgments and their resulting actions. From my deepest level of understanding, I now say, I forgive. Realizing that I continually experience the effects of my own thinking, I now choose to allow this higher power to recreate me deeply. Filling my mind with thoughts that are only positive, constructive, loving, and beautiful. I call upon this divine inflow by stating aloud, I choose. I now center upon that one very special idea that I'm willing to accept as real for me in this coming week. Visualizing that idea as already acted upon and brought to pass. In seeing my idea become a fact of my experience, I enjoy the happiness and peace of my thought fulfilled and gratefully speak these words. I accept. Knowing that I have an everlasting place in the midst of the power that sustains all creation, as well as the support of all those around me. I allow myself to relax in the peace of fulfillment and gratitude and say, I release. Now, in my mind's eye, I envision the presence of someone near and dear to me. This can be a friend, a family member, a teacher or mentor, someone who has touched my life in deep and loving ways. Someone who may not be physically present in this room or even on this planet anymore. I turn to that image in my mind's eye and say, I'm grateful for the good in your life. Now I open my eyes, turn to the world around me, and joyfully speak to anyone physically present in this room or virtually on this broadcast, and share in confidence and gratitude in saying, I'm grateful for the good in your lives.
Is it hot in here? Yeah? No? Okay. I get the same answer out of you every time I ask this. Year in, year out, no matter the season. It's hot in here? Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes. So, what that means is I do nothing about it. I just stand here and give my talk. And do what I showed. It's wise, isn't it? Yes, it is wise. All right. In a few minutes, Reverend David is going to give the announcements like he does every week, but I'm going to take this one myself. Okay? Which is to tell you that tomorrow night a class is starting based on the book Scientific Christian Mental Practice by Emma Curtis Hopkins. If you've never heard of her, if you've never heard of the book, let me just tell you, it's what I'm talking about this week and this month on Sundays, and you can look it up and learn more about her. But this is a woman who in the 1880s was telling it like it is to lots and lots of people. They said she had about 10,000 students altogether by the time she was done in her career, starting in Chicago with this and then back in New York. And among those students were the founders of all the New Thought denominations. So it's really well worth your time, and the course is $240 and it's 12 weeks, and that's $20 a week, and that's a movie. And there are good movies and there are not good movies out there, you know, and some are scary and some are stupid and all like this, but I can promise you, your $20 a week, you'll get something wonderful every week. So if you'd like to sign up, there's a link in the chat today, and it'll take you to our new education portal website where you can find out more about it, or you can ask me afterward. It's from 6:30 to 8:30, although it's looking like we're going to extend it a little later into the evening, 6:30 to maybe about 9 o'clock. For 6 weeks, we take 2 weeks off for Christmas. We pick back up after the first of the year. Think about it, and that's the only ad I have for you this morning. He'll have more, though. So, your mighty confidence. Last week we were talking about the viewpoint that you want to try to establish of your good as your God and your God as your good, to make these terms interchangeable. Put that another way, to look at the universe as one whole system that's fully present at every point within itself, and at every point within itself it's seeking to deliver something positive to each of its component parts, one of which is you. In other words, All of the attributes of spirit are fully available at every point within it, and we place a claim on it. We talked a lot last week, as we always do, about how our part of the business is to do our work, to look at how much we're accepting, to look at what we're putting into spiritual law by way of attitude and the momentum that we're seeking to achieve. Today is more on that, and it's about confidence. It's about having a spirit of firm confidence, she says. Firm confidence in the truth, to believe in belief. So I was thinking about what I could do with this besides just read you Emma, although that would be some time well spent, let me tell you. But where I go with this now is this. When we talk, you know how every January we do the basic series? And every January for these many years I've said, we teach you how to believe, not what to believe. Everybody kind of nods, and I nod with you, and we put that away. Well, it's true. And there's more to it than that, which is that sometimes I think we think that we need a whole new architecture of a belief system in order to make any progress whatsoever. It's like we have this document called What We Believe, started out as What I Believe by Ernest Holmes. You see it in our magazine in various places, and it runs to a number of clauses in this thing, And people will say from time to time, well, I really like 1, 2, 4, 6, 9, and 12, but I'm not sure about the other ones. And is that okay? They'll ask. And it's like, of course it's okay. It's your belief system that we're talking about. This is an organizational document because this place and places like it have a certain, doctrine. We have a certain something that we teach. You don't just show up every week and we're like, I don't know, what do we want to believe this week? There's a continuity. There's a through line to it, right? But what you believe is up to you. And so when we look at personal belief, a lot of times we blow it up to cosmic proportions. We say, what do I believe about God and angels and the universe and the cosmos and how it all came to be and where it's all heading and all like that? And that's useful to do, to ask yourself this. But what she's saying is that in the moment when faced with a particular situation, what do you believe about that? What do you believe about that that's going on right there and who you are in that situation? So if somebody offers you a job, you don't have to go into this whole, what do I believe about the cosmos and first cause and how the Big Bang Theory and all that. No, it's like, do I believe that I want this? Do I believe that I'm capable of this? Do I believe that I'm entitled to this? Do I believe that there are some blocks in me to this? Do I have confidence in the other person that's telling me this, that the rug isn't going to get yanked out from under me? It's just that. And she brings up the centurion's servant in Matthew where, Jesus famously, he gets misquoted out the kazoo, but it's not a bad misquoting when he says, it's done unto you as you believe. He says instead, your faith, he says to the centurion, your faith has made him whole. Your faith has done the job here. So it's just in that moment. Do you have faith enough in this moment? Do you have belief enough in this moment for the situation at hand? And if you do, apply it and then recognize it. And the next time something comes up, you'll be able to look back and say, I had faith. I had confidence in that last situation. So I can have it here in this situation. And in that way, it gets incrementally built. Instead of, do you understand what I'm saying? Instead of at first having to have all the faith in the universe about everything, no matter what comes your way, she's saying build it as you go. And if you speak the truth from inside yourself, you will draw the truth from outside yourself. If you speak the truth from inside yourself, you will draw the truth from outside yourself. She even says, and we'll get into this in the class, but she even says that you can be in the presence of somebody who is lying to your face, but you stand in truth, and somehow you will extract truth from what's going on. And she tells this story, and I've told this to a couple of groups lately, but I don't think I told it to you last week on a Sunday, and if I did, I'll be able to tell by your glazed eyes when I start to tell it again. But she says there was a man who was very, he was being bullied. Did I tell you this? He was being bullied by some people, some other men, and they you can picture this. They're all like, watch this. Watch what we're going to do to this guy. You know. He says, so they went to him and they said, we have a business idea for you. We have a business idea. And what you need to do is you need to, warming pans. They had warming pans back in the day. I don't know, you put coal in them or something to keep you warm. You put them on the floor in lieu of a fireplace, in lieu of a hearth, It said, warming pans. You need to sell warming pans in the torrid zones, which I assume means like Mexico, South America, somewhere, equatorial. And they're like, this is crazy. Watch this. He's going to do it. He's going to do it. He did it, and he made a fortune. He did it, and he made a fortune. He did this thing that people were saying, this is completely ridiculous, that you should want to try this. Because, why? The individual that we're speaking of stood in the truth. He did not believe that he could be lied to. He did not believe that life could throw him a curve. He believed. He had this simple, naive faith. And we argue in this teaching for a naive faith. And we'll say, oh, I'm far too clever for this. I want to see where the wires are hidden, and all of this kind of thing. You have a miracle to tell me about. I'm going to deconstruct it. I'm going to break up your seance, like Houdini used to do, because this is bogus, right? Does that ever flicker across your mind? When Brian Schwanitz and Jeffrey Oshman stand up here and they tell you that each of them thought of a song to sing this week without any communication between the two of them, is there some part of you that says, come on, I bet somehow or other there was, no, right? And now they did it before, 3-4 years ago, they said, so it's not like an earth-shaking miracle, because we shake them off, right? We're like, oh, that's not an earth-shaking miracle, therefore it's not a miracle at all. Therefore it's not a gift of faith at all. Therefore it's just a tiny thing. Or we use the C word, it's a coincidence. It's just a coincidence. And you know what happens if you chalk everything up to coincidence? You don't build faith. You have piles of coincidence, but you don't build faith. But if you say there's a through line, that's my new favorite expression, like it's been around for years. But if you develop a through line in consciousness, it says this is incremental. This is building on the last thing I did, the last good, solid knowing and confidence that I had. Then you start to grow and then if they had come to Jesus and said, well, your cousin Lazarus, he's been gone for a while now, but perhaps you can do something. And he was on his way out when they contacted him. He waited 3 days. You remember? He gets there, and it's too late for Lazarus, right? But no, it wasn't. He spoke his word, and he said, "Come out." He said, "Come out." You think he could have done that flat-footed? Think he could have done that cold? Can we do this cold? No. We got to work up to it. We all say, well, if I can't raise the dead, then I can't work any miracles at all. But you work up to it. He had years of training that we don't even know about. And even if he had all the training in the world in an afternoon, he took it in. He knew his oneness so completely that he was able to speak that kind of word. Or so we are told in the record. And people get real sketchy about that, and they'll say, well, I don't necessarily believe the Bible. It's not historically accurate, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. I don't necessarily buy all of it either, but that's a great story. And somebody put it in there because they believed it was possible. And somebody, I think, put it in there because they believed it was possible for you and me to do this. Down the centuries. These things that I do, you shall do also, and greater things than these, right? So, Emma Hopkins' idea is to have confidence, and confidence is a word that means, well, with fidelity, confident, with fidelity, with trust, with truth, and it actually comes from root meaning to keep a secret, to hold a secret, to know something. Like you'll say, oh, I want to tell you this in confidence. It means you keep it to yourself. What is the secret? The secret is of she calls it the secret of the Lord in her book. She says the secret is the secret of your place in spirit. You know that you belong to spirit no matter what. No matter what appears to happen, no matter what occurs, no matter who tells you anything, you know of your place in spirit, and that's the confidence that you carry. Just like when you have confidence that you walk into a room and you look around, you say, I belong here. Hi, nice to see everybody. I belong here. I'm not better than anybody else, but I'm certainly not lesser than anybody else. I belong. We're all on a par here. We belong. And you walk through the world that way. And when you see people who are cowering in fear, what do? You say, you fool, cowering in fear. No, you tell them you belong here. You matter. And we all stand up straighter and taller, and we take better care of each other and so on, because we have this secret. Now, this is true of religious denominations, typically, where people get together and they say, well, we have the truth in this place. We have the truth. Except the truth is not containable in a place. You see, the truth is the truth. The truth is what? The truth is I am. And everything else is a footnote to that. Everything else is an elaboration on that. The truth is I am that I am. I am, as I always say, the experience that Spirit is having in this world at this time by means of me. And with that confidence, you can speak your word to conditions. So now it's time to read you a little Emma. She says, we'll do it in this order. She says, there is a generation of faith, like the generation of electricity. Remember we were talking about electricity? We speak the truth about the good as sure to come out in our life or in our work. We stand firmly to the truth. It goes out stronger and stronger as a power to drive back the belief in and appearance of evil. We do nothing but speak the truth and stand to it. If we feel confident one moment that all will come out right, just because a little appearance for the better shows up, and then our heart sinks the next moment because a bad appearance sets in, we are unstable. We are judging by appearances. And Jacob said to his son Reuben, unstable as water, thou shalt not excel. That reminds me of another Bible passage which says, run thy hot or cold, but neither lukewarm, else I will spew thee out of my mouth. You got to love some of those Bible passages. Vivid, right? You know, it's like last week we talked about choose this day whom you will serve. So you take a position in spirit. As water, as wonderful as water is a strong spiritual symbol for flow and transformation. Saying there's a moment where you have to congeal. You have to become like ice. You have to take shape, take a form. Otherwise, you are movable. You are malleable, she says, when a result occurs that's not what you prefer. And you give up on the thing. Part of spiritual practice, a big part of spiritual practice is balance. And in that balance we find a paradoxical relationship between flexibility and persistence. You want, on the one hand, to be open and, flexible, and kind of light on your feet, and see where this heads, and play it as it lays, and so on. But on the other hand, you want to be consistent, persistent, and determined. You want to pick up where you left off in your knowing about something. Do you have a goal? Do you have a long-term ambition? In your prayer work today, you pick it up where you left off with it yesterday. You don't have to go all the way back to the beginning and say, now, is God all there is? How many lives are there? No, you've already established this certain thing. You're in the realization step of the treatment now. You're speaking your word, so you pick your word up where you left off in confidence that something has been done. Remember last week I gave you a quote out of James Clear about Rome wasn't built in a day, but every day they were laying bricks. Well, every day you don't have to go back and start at the foundation, because the foundation has been laid and a few stories have been put up. And so you go on from there. And you look at what you've done. And you notice, I did that. I did that. There's a wonderful poem, and I couldn't find it. There are no mistakes. I couldn't find it during the poetry series. I knew it, but I couldn't hunt it down. And even with, I haven't perfected my AI skills yet. I have to confess, but working on it. I'm still a Google boy, but I know there's more. But anyway, this great poem, and I'll bring it into you and share it with you. But the gist of the thing, spoiler alert for this poem, it's a guy in the Middle Ages who worked on a cathedral. One of those countless unnamed people who was a stonemason and was anonymous, was invisible to the world except through their work. And every day of his entire life he climbed up on the scaffolding and he did what was in front of him to do. But that was years ago when the poem opens. And now his body's broken and he's got arthritis, rheumatism, except they didn't call that then. He just knows he hurts. He hurts and he's poor and they didn't have pensions and they didn't have this and, But the cathedral, he's lived long enough to see it completed. He's lived long enough to see the opening dedication ceremonies of it. And way back in the crowd, he stands. And he sees at a far distance, through his dimming vision, he sees the bishops and the important people in their ermine robes, heading in to the cathedral. And he stands there and he reflects on his time. And he's not them. And he envies them. He envies them their warm boots. That's all he envies about them, is they have warm boots and he has nothing. But you know what he says, the last line of the poem? He looks up at the cathedral and he says, I bloody did that. I did that. Right? You look at what you've created in your life and you take stock of it and you say, I did that. I did that. I showed up yesterday or last week or 20 years ago. I did that. And you build on that. You build on that. You remember when you trusted. You remember when you had the faith. Then she tells us, now this is really cool. She says that the power of conviction, the power of your word, is found in your word. But very often we will dress up the word with props. She doesn't call them that, but I do. And she mentions Paul's handkerchiefs, the Apostle Paul. She mentions objects that one might have, the lucky clover leaf, the rabbit's foot, this kind of thing. You keep things around. We had a ritual Samhain ceremony here a couple of weeks ago, and there are props and devices that you can use in such ceremonies to honor the turning of the wheel of the year, We have props and ceremonies even in this place. It's relatively stripped down, but we have an exoteric spiritual practice that we use that fleshes out. Otherwise I could do this from my desk, but I don't just get up and talk. There's music and there's meditation and there's prayer and so on. All of this does this. And there's this place, see, and we get together here actually or virtually and we say, well, I'm in a spiritual place. I'll never forget we had a plumbing problem one time here, and we found a plumber in the phone book who was an Orthodox Jew. And he came in here. We didn't know that till he got here. And we got to talking, and he came in and he did some work. And I said, how much do we owe you? And he says, I cannot charge you. I said, why not? He said, this is a house of God. And I said, thank you. Thank you for that very much. But please let us pay you something or you won't come back. Because if you went to all of these different houses of God and you gave them free plumbing work, how are you going to eat? So let us meet you. And so we worked something out. But anyway, my point was he came in here and he looked around. He said, this is a house of God. So he felt special in this place as he would in certain places. So that's my point, is there's an exoteric energy that goes into it. You say, this is a special thing. Her point is, which I'm taking a while to get to, her point is, if you withdraw all of that stuff, it's the power of belief behind it that makes the difference. If Paul hadn't had the handkerchiefs, people would have had to say, well, what are you using? What are you doing? Can you believe that the power exists within yourself? Can you believe that you need nothing? If you believe that you need nothing, or if you can build on the belief that you need nothing, you can run out of stuff and still get it done. That was an argument that came up at one point where people were all into crystals back in the 80s, early 90s. Everybody was wearing little crystal bags around their necks. And so there's nothing wrong with that. It's sweet. Some people were eating crystals. I'm not sure that's a good idea, but what do I know? But the problem is, what if you don't have any crystals? What if you're in a crystal-free zone? What if there's no this or that or the other thing? Then you're relying on the Word. And her point is that the Word is alive in every form. Otherwise, there would be no form. This would be a barren planet were the Word not alive in everything. And so you look for that Word and you speak that Word. And when you speak that Word, you're speaking it to free the life that is in the condition. My first teacher in science of mind, Dr. Ben Winter, he was an interesting character. He had a lot of, interesting idiosyncrasies and stuff. And one of them, we were doing something one time, and either a roach ran across the floor or a wasp flew through the room or something, and somebody got up to do something about it. And he said, no. He said, here's what you do. You say to that, free this life. Free this life. His thinking was, this is just his thinking, this is not doctrine. He's thinking, life really doesn't want to crawl across the floor as a cockroach. Life really doesn't want to have to limit itself to flying around as a wasp. Given the choice, it would be in some greater sphere of existence. So I'm going to say to it, free this life. And he believed that whatever he was talking to went away. I don't know if it evaporated or it just went away, but he believed that he would never be bothered by insects of a troublesome nature. If he said this, I don't just give that to you, but what does work for sure is if you say to something, show forth your magnificence, show forth your wholeness, it will reveal itself. And that's the secret of healing as revealing. The contention here being that wholeness and wellness exists as a natural state within us, and if you declare that to be the truth about yourself, it begins to exhibit itself more fully. If you say to a condition, say to a circumstance, straighten yourself out. This seems overly complicated. This seems cluttered. This seems confused. Straighten yourself out. You give it permission to do just that. If you're in conversation with somebody and you don't understand what they're talking about, you don't understand what they want from you, say to yourself silently, free this life, free this word, and it will suddenly be made clear to you. It'll be like you have this translating app in your head now, and you'll get what they mean, because not everybody speaks in a forthright way. Not everybody has the same quality of expression. She says, Paul's aprons and handkerchiefs served to cure people because radiating from him went a buoyant confidence in his own principles. Shaky and feeble people felt the confidence of him as a brace. It took hold of that concealed substance within their own natures, and it recognized itself. Spirit recognizes itself in the word that we speak. All the liberating of the inner fire within us to operate on the world without us by laying hold of its substance is the speaking of the God voice within us. This voice may come from the God voice without us, as it did to the prophets. If we feel that around us is God, we may hear a voice from the bushes like Moses. We may hear a voice from the air as Samuel did. We may hear a voice from the clouds as Jesus Christ did. If we contemplate the God within us, we shall feel the voice within us, and it will be as audible as if it were without. That's the still small voice. Not always still, not always small, declaring the truth of our own being. And it starts within. It starts with. So what I invite you to do is build today on the confidence that you have established in previous times, your great wins, the time when just the right answer jumped into your mind, the time when you were searching for something to say or do or think, and it seemed to magically appear, the time when you lifted the fallen, the time when you embraced the forgotten, the time when you did something positive and beneficial for the family of humankind, and build on that. and say, I am a builder. I am in league with the source of my own being to do that which is mine to do. And I shall rise up and do mighty things. So let's know together now, one life, one power, one presence working through each one of us. And I speak this word about it for each one of us, each one in this room, each one watching at a distance. We know what to do and we know how to do it. There is a perfect patterning intelligence within that leads each one of us to the next right action, next right livelihood, next right choice. It is easy to follow this. Everything in us longs for it. Nothing in us opposes it. It is done to us, certainly, as we believe. And now, it's easy to believe in belief. For all is mind. All is intention. All is immersion in infinite life. And for this knowing, and for this time together, and for all that this leads to in the experience of each one of us, which we rush back to share with one another, as we say, I did that, for a power through me was mighty to heal. For all of this and so much more, I am so deeply grateful. I release this word now into the infinite, calling it done, and so it is.
By the way, bedpans were the warming pans, Jesse. They used to put the coal in them and then put them in the bed and warm the bed before they went to sleep.
All right.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah. I guess you were asleep when you said that. But.
I guess.
Of course, I completely forgot what I was going to say. Yeah. Oh, yeah, this is what I was going to say, actually. I don't like the rest of you, but in our bathrooms, in the toilet area, we have reading matter. Do any of you have books in there you read? Yeah?
I used to before I had a phone.
You did. All right, well, I know something fun is going on nowadays. But anyway, so I pick it up this morning, and there's one of my favorite poets there, William Wordsworth, and one of my favorite quotes, which he said, not in entire forgetfulness and not in utter nakedness, but streaming clouds of glory do we come from God, who is our home. And that's one of my favorite quotes, and I think it fits in because it fits in with the fact that we're spiritual beings. And when we come to a place like this, we come to learn how to actually connect with that essence, which is our true selves. So that's my preaching for today. So as we come up to giving time, once again, I listen to PBS or BBC World Service or something using the car, but PBS mostly, and they're always begging for money, right? They're kind of like a church. They're always begging for money. But one thing they don't do as well as beg is actually thank people. I've noticed this. They've thanked people about once in 100 times for donations. So I want to make sure that we thank each and every one of you who donates to help keep this center alive and well and keep our messages out. And as I said last week, if you like our messages and you come here frequently, please donate to us because it takes money to keep this stuff going. It really does. So once again,
I don't know that.
as our usher is at the back there, please join with me in saying, Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have, all the good I give and receive. I am prosperous now, and so it is.
Okay, this is a really old song from the very first time first year I joined Religious Science Church in 1978. This was a song that was being done. It's similar to the one I did last week. It's in the same songbook from Ken Keyes Jr. He wrote Handbook to Higher Consciousness. And you can't find this music anymore. But I found an album that somebody had that was willing to sell it. So I'm going to have an album of all these songs. And this is a real pretty one. It's called "We Are One Incredible Family," and it really it touched me quite a bit when I first heard it. We are one incredible family. We are one incredible family. We are learning to live together. We are learning to love one another. We can be just who we are. We can be one incredible family. Time will take us where we go, and love will show us what to do. Carry the love, laugh together, play together, share each other's rainbows. Carry the love, carry the love. We can be just who we are. We can be one incredible family. There's a place to learn cornucopia, where we all are loved in cornucopia. Children teach us sweet surrender. There's one moment after another. We can be just who we are. We can be one incredible family. We can be one incredible family. Carry the love, carry the love.
And you were correct. I was able to leave that song in last week. There was no copyright claim. So I'm going to try it again this week. So they get to experience Ken Keys through you. So, okay. And I don't know if y'all have been watching the weather, but the weather's about to take a nosedive, and I'm very excited about it. So clearly Jesse is too. Because I was out at the Renaissance Festival yesterday, and it was hot. So today, it's going to be windy and beautiful. And the interesting thing is things can change that fast in your life as well. You can literally change your mind and have it change that fast. So I invite you to step with me now into that sacred space. It's all sacred all the time. But what we do is consciously connect with it. That is the purpose of prayer, is to consciously connect with that sacred, to recognize that it is sacred. And whatever it is that we are going there for, knowing that it's available. And so I invite us to step into the one life, the one power, the one presence, the one love, recognizing that each and every one of us is a manifestation of that life. We are a channel for that power. We are that presence, and we love that love. So as we walk through this week, whatever it is that the weather does, We do so with a knowing that we are held in that confidence, in those everlasting arms that Emerson is forever reminding us about. And that when we speak our word, we are speaking a truth that is a foundation that is deeper than we are, that allows us to build to heights beyond what we can dream of. Because once we get started, there is no stopping us. When we get out of our own way, amazing things happen. And so, it is in that knowing that we are beloved expressions of the divine. That when we look around and look at each other, we see beloved expressions of the divine looking back at us. That we are all children of the Spirit. And in that knowing, anything is possible. And I know this with everything that I am. And I am grateful for that. And I'm grateful for a teaching that reminds me who I am. And I'm grateful for a community that comes together to remind each other who we are. And I'm grateful because it feels good to be grateful. And I am grateful for our ministers, our musicians, our practitioners. I am grateful for each and every one of you. I'm grateful for the technology that allows us to send this out into the ethers. You should see the check-ins in the chat. And I'm grateful to speak my truth and know that it is the truth. And I release my word into that law that always says yes, with love, calling it done, and so it is.
Say with me now, something wonderful is happening through me.
Something wonderful is happening through me.
I feel it in my body. I feel it in my mind. I feel it in everything I am. I choose it. I trust it. I use it. And I love it. And so it is. All right.